So people were almost like beating a cushion with the bat, but it was based on the philosophy that in the West we're too busy in our mind to meditate.
Okay, and that is recording because that's got a red light and it's flashing.
That's recording. The red light's on. The screen is back this time, but I'm not going to look at the screen. But it's more reassuring to know that it is recording, but I'm going to ignore it.
Yeah, because it would be really bad if we did 30 minutes and then go over there and find out that none of it's recorded. That would be bad.
Yeah, it would, like last time. So this week is episode 10. 10 whole weeks.
10
That
weeks.
is incredible, isn't it?
That is amazing.
And we're going to crack on and we're going to do the self-care.
Okay.
Self-care, I mean, it could be called practice.
Yep.
It's a bit like, what do you do? Especially in the UK, it's probably February now when this goes out. It's dark. It's been dark for about 4 months. It's probably raining and it's cold.
Oh no,
My
now
turn to
he's
cough.
coughing. And it's miserable.
Yeah, and it's coming to the end of winter. It's been a real slog for a lot of us in the UK. So what do we do to look after our mental health, basically?
That's a really, really good one. And, our mental health is so important, isn't it? I mean, if you don't have your mental health, you're kind of not much good for anything, are you?
You're not, no. And, everyone knows about going to the gym and you need to work the body. But we also need to work the mind, look after the mind, manage the mind.
Well, the brain is like a muscle, isn't it? So, you go to the gym to get your abs. Where do you go to train your brain, to kind of make your brain efficient, productive, happy, relaxed, calm?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
Well, I'm lucky because I live with a hypnotherapist.
Wow.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
The UK's #1 solution-focused hypnotherapist, Dipti Toby.
And so does Dipti Toby do you hypnotherapy sessions?
She does. We go through stages. We did about 8 or 9 weeks in the summer, and that was amazing. That really did... we'll almost do a video on that, actually. It might be worth doing that. But for me, it keeps me... Well, it empties my stress bucket. And my brain is just like 100 times more efficient when I've had hypnotherapy. It's much more organised. It's thinking about things to do. It's coming up with solutions, coming up with ideas. It's creative.
Wow.
Saying that, last week was like January the 5th or something. And, and I was struggling, really. It's back to work after Christmas and it's dark and, it's just like... But I know when that starts to happen, it's almost too late,
Okay.
That's the time I need to do something about it.
So actually the self-care thing isn't just periods of time where you're like, right, I'm looking after myself now. You've got to probably keep a self-care practice in place regularly.
I really think daily,
Yeah.
really, or, in a week, 7-day week, there's got to be 50% of that, not constantly, but, every other day, or, you've got to be doing stuff as the weeks go by. Yeah.
So if those of you who don't happen to live with a hypnotherapist, you're thinking, well, I don't have my personal on-demand hypnotherapist to call on, what other things could people do, for example, to enhance their self-care?
Well, I'm sure lots of people have different... everyone's different. So some people will go to the gym, won't they? That'll be their thing. That's going to work. Like cycling, I do that in the summer. That is great because you're out on your own and you're working and you're kind of trancing out, really. And you've got time to think and you're going to come up with ideas and, the body's alive. But another great thing that I've been doing is have a bath, and then I listen to this kind of South American Amazon music, like pipes and drums and stuff.
Not Amazon as in shopping.
No, the original.
Amazon as in rainforest.
The original Amazon, and that just kind of resets me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone really has a bathroom in the house, don't they? And you've all got access to a bath, maybe. So it doesn't have to be something you spend money on or have to kind of make a massive effort. You can just, get in the bath, and that is your time. It's your space where pretty much you're not going to get interrupted unless you've got like a 3-year-old or a very, very clingy cat.
Yeah, which we have, which comes into the bathroom with you. Not in the bath, but another thing is meditation, which is obviously a big thing, but how many people actually do it? The hardest thing is finding the time to turn up on the cushion, isn't it? Once you kind of get into it and you create the habit, it's good. But if you haven't been doing it and you're a bit stressed and tired, the chances of you sitting down and meditating for an hour are pretty slim, I reckon.
But also self-care doesn't have to be that type of thing. It can just be hobbies that you enjoy, can't it? Like knitting, or I don't know, like just sort of yoga.
Reading.
Reading.
Yeah.
We don't mean like watching TV, do we?
No, or flicking through Facebook. That's not really...
that's not self-care.
Because it's about like... not having distractions, isn't it? And allowing you're allowing your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in.
What about watching films though?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's different levels of relaxing, isn't there? You're kind of relaxing, but you're not really taking yourself out and switching off and allowing the brain to not have any input coming in. So
it's reducing information, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah.
So when you're in the bath, well, unless you're watching a film in the bath, you're in the bath, you're on your own, you've kind of got your own thoughts. For some people that might not be actually what they want to do, but actually when you do it more and more, your thoughts can start to minimise, can't they?
Yeah, they can, and but why don't we do it then?
Well, I mean, this is a really good question. There'll be loads of excuses why you haven't got time to do it, why you've got too much work on, so you haven't got time to relax. That's what you hear all the time.
Too busy.
Too busy. And I talk about relaxation as an important concept in your life. I hear it all the time. I say people will come up to me and say, I haven't got time to relax. And then my answer to them is, when you haven't got time to relax, that's the most important time to relax.
What did Gandhi say?
Well, when I've got too much to do in my day. I mean, remember Gandhi was, holding it together, holding a whole continent together while that continent was being invaded, by a colony, by the British colony. So I'm sure it was quite stressful time for him. And while all that was going on, he's a pacifist and he didn't want to fight and he didn't want to show aggression. And he said, the most important thing for me to do when I've got too much time, when I've got too much to do in my world, instead of meditating for the usual 1 hour every day, I'll meditate for 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so important, isn't it? So poignant. What did he know, So why don't we do it? Why? Well, maybe guilt. I think guilt for women particularly is a big one. I know that I talk to a lot of women in my practice who will say, I'm coming to hypnotherapy, and because it's a therapy, it's okay. But if I was just going to lie down at home, with your audio in the daytime, I can't because I'd feel so guilty.
Yeah.
So it's like giving yourself permission, isn't it?
Yeah. But, it's not easy, is it? Also, I kind of find that the time when you really most need it is the time you can talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You're a bit grumpy and what you should be doing in that time is go for a run, or whatever, have your bath or meditate or use your trance, get into a trance. But it's much easier just to flick through social media or
anything.
Yeah, watch Netflix or something, isn't it?
But that's the pull of social media. It's kind of like set up that way, and it is just basically distraction.
Yeah, it's very clever, isn't it? It's so easy, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's so easy to be addicted, and assume you're not addicted. You're like, oh, no, I'm not really addicted. But actually, most of us actually are addicted.
Yeah.
We know this because so much consumption, mind consumption, is digital. We are being bombarded with information. The Dipti and Toby Show is a digital piece of that information. You're watching it, so...
Hopefully you're addicted to it.
Yeah. There are good things to be addicted to, and not so healthy.
But obviously, when Facebook was set up, they knew what they were doing, and they got more and more advanced. They work with scientists and neuroscientists and psychologists. How can we get people, trapped and, focused on this all the time? So they know how the brain works and the reward system. So you're flicking through, but your brain's, giving you dopamine, isn't it?
But I mean, that's the biggest thing now is you're trying to buy your attention. Attention is such a valuable commodity. So you've just got to protect your attentiveness and your attention, because your attention on yourself is probably the number one priority. So what other ways can we give ourselves full attention, would you think?
What other ways?
Yeah. Like how, if you said, right, I've got a day off, I don't have to go to work, no one's in the house, I'm not going to be interrupted, and your only task was to give yourself full attention and self-care, what would you do? Because this is a really interesting question. Not many people come up with, well, I would do this, or I wouldn't do this. Or...
Yeah. I mean, depending on the day, for me, we've got a big garden, and I could spend all day out there. It's like big, it's like half an acre, so it's got lots of trees in it, and there's lots of things I want to do in it. So for me to get all my work gear on and kind of go out there and have my stereo, on, and just be outside in the woods, in the trees, kind of, working, would be a good day for me, because I'm away from what I'm usually doing by a computer and in an office and staring at a screen.
So that's interesting. Self-care doesn't have to be not working or not being productive or not being active. You can be totally active and productive.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think it's probably because meditation is the ultimate do nothing in a way, and I think that's why people find it so hard, isn't it? But even yoga is like a step up, because you're physically moving, so it's easier to kind of get stiller if you've got activity, which is like cycling as well. I mean, I did a course once, and it was kind of based on a way of meditating, but to start with you had to kind of be really active. I mean, it was quite intense, but so people were almost like beating a cushion with the bat, but it was based on the philosophy that in the West we're too busy in our mind to meditate, to go straight into meditation. So
you kind of get it out.
You kind of got to get it out, and then you'd go through, there'd be like 4 stages, but and then you'd kind of slow it down, and then you'd go into meditation. But
so is that like getting out the adrenaline in the system, so you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system easily?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And if the thoughts and mind's a bit crazy, you need to find a way to slow it down. Yeah.
See, what I would do is, if I had to make sure that I had a whole day of self-care and no one was going to be around and I was only on my own...
You'd work?
No.
Definitely
I would, if I was told I'm not allowed to work, because I probably would work, to be fair, but if I was told I wasn't allowed to work, my brain would go, but you always work. and then it would struggle.
Yeah.
Actually, so I'm being completely honest, it would struggle.
And now you don't go shopping either.
I know I don't go shopping either, and I would struggle. And then I was thinking about it when I asked you the question, and I was thinking, oh my God, I hope he doesn't ask me the same question. But after I thought that thought, I came up with an answer. That's why I'm sharing it with you. My answer would be to drive to a beach and just have a whole day on the beach. Even if it's a horrible day, windy, rainy, I think the energy of the beach for me, I know we don't live in Barbados, but we do live in England, and pretty much the beaches are quite wild here, you know, when it's not summertime. But I think even the windiness of the beach atmosphere, and, you know, the calming, not the calming waves because they're not going to be calming, but the kind of energy of the water, I just feel that would be really cleansing for me.
Okay. But that's not something you're going to do every day, is it? We live a long way away from a beach.
Yeah.
So,
but that was if I was going to give myself a day, you know, out of my usual pattern and, you know, interrupt the pattern.
Okay. And what's the benefit then of self-care, of taking this time out?
Well, I did talk about a minute ago the parasympathetic nervous system. What is that? That's a really big word. That's just a fancy way of saying engaging your internal relaxation centre. So you've got kind of two, I suppose, principles in the brain. You're either super active and hyperactive and fully, you know, energized, which means that you've kind of got adrenaline, cortisol, histamine going on in your system.
Yeah.
And that means you're just able to get on with things and move faster and, you know, make decisions quick. And then you've got the opposite, which is the fully relaxed part of the body and the mind. That's when your parasympathetic nervous system is kicked in, which is the absence of all of that kind of, I call it stress chemistry. So stress chemistry doesn't have to be when you're stressed, if that makes sense. It's just helping you be active.
Yeah, do stuff.
So when that's your sympathetic nervous system with your stress chemicals active, and then the opposite is your parasympathetic nervous system. So that's the absence of all of that chemistry. So it's kind of helping you feel so much calmer and just more kind of clearer.
So there's different levels of self-care, isn't there? If you really want to use it to benefit you, you can really then start to get into, well, I am going to get my whole parasympathetic nervous system kicking in.
Yeah.
And I'm almost going to, like knitting, repetitive knitting, you're going to get into a trance, aren't you?
Yeah. Do you knit?
My mum knits. Yeah.
Willy Wendy.
Yeah.
She's she's amazing at knitting.
We've been trying to get her to set up a business, but I don't think it's going to happen, is it?
No.
Come on, Mum, you can do it.
Come on, Willy Wendy. We need your knits. We need them.
But when you're in a trance, and again, we could do a whole episode on trance, I think, because I think people don't understand trance, you know. But so if you're totally relaxed and you're going into a trance, then you're emptying your stress bucket as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So your brain's processing all of the stuff that's going on. It's defragging the hard drive, if you like. And when that's defragged, then you're much more likely to, you're gonna get more into your prefrontal cortex, aren't you?
Which means you're going to be more rational. You're going to be more logical. You're going to take life kind of from a full perspective, make a proper assessment of a situation.
And it's forward thinking as well.
Yeah, and you're less emotional, so you're less emotionally driven. So even though you might feel anxiety or fear or anger, you're more likely to be able to deal with that rather than let that control you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also you're able to stay calm, but also stay in control. And it's that level of control in a calm way that helps you navigate through your life successfully. And also you can get much more done when you're calm because you're efficient and you're productive and you're using your resources effectively. You're not running out of energy. You know, you're actually, the parasympathetic nervous system and the relaxation is boosting you. Imagine that every single cell in our body and our brain is like a little battery. And so every time you get the boost of parasympathetic, nervous system going on, you're kind of boosting the battery cells.
Yeah. And then you're not just relaxing, you're in almost like a generative, creative trance state.
Yeah.
And really that's what we're after, isn't it? Because, okay, we want to relax. Netflix and social media kind of, that's what they're trying to get us to do. But actually we don't want to be distracted. We want to be totally, we want to be calm. We want to empty the stress bucket. We want to be in the parasympathetic nervous system. And then we want to be like able to, look forward and make good decisions and be creative, don't we?
Well, kind of like Netflix and social media, you are still in a trance, but you're in a negative trance, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you're being fed information that you're not in control of.
Which is the classic news, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now it's like everyone is like being fed stuff, which is pretty scary, really, isn't it?
Really scary, really, really scary. Especially when my clients come and tell me that they wake up to the news and they go to sleep to the news. I have my head in my hands at that point. So we don't want to be fed information anymore. We want to take control of our own mind, and by engaging your parasympathetic nervous system in any way that you can engage it, and that we've talked about cycling, knitting, reading, having a bath, going to the beach, just switching off. You're switching off, aren't you, rather than switching on.
Yeah.
That keeps your brain absolutely yours. And, it keeps it topped up with vitality, energy, and feelings of you are in control, which is really empowering.
Yeah, massively, yeah. If we want to change our life and be authentic and be aligned and live a life that is meaningful and purposeful, it's very difficult to do that when we're stressed and tired and being fed someone else's information, so.
Yeah, but you talked about creativity as well, because when you're in a generative trance, that's where your creative centre really does massively wake up. And it kind of reminds you of who you are again. Yeah. And it's all about getting back into that connection with who you are. So, when I have clients on my couch, they'll often say to me, this is the only time to myself. That's why I come back week after week, because here no one's going to interrupt me. My phone's switched off. Work can't get hold of me. My child isn't pulling on, my trouser leg. I can totally switch off. I've given myself permission. And that's so good for your brain, especially in this day and age where we're bombarded with information overload.
Yeah. What I do daily rather than meditate is Dipti has a load of audios and I listen to one before I go to bed. And that, that helps. That's like my own mini trance session each day, and I know if I don't do it for a while, I really notice it.
Yeah.
So
I even listen to my own audios, and I've been doing it for the last sort of few weeks, and I've really noticed, especially because it's my voice giving myself permission, I've really noticed that I'm really kind of in a good headspace. So it's a good sign, isn't it? Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Time. We can see the clock now, so we've got the screen, so we're not panicking. And we know it's recorded. The audio's recorded.
So I reckon we've done self-care. So it'll be really good actually to get your comments below and let us know how you are improving on your self-care.
Yeah, and what you're doing, what works for you. Yeah,
exactly. Get this self-care message out there because it's so important. All right. So
okay,
that's that.
Yeah.
Episode 10. Done.
Yeah.
In the bag. What's your website?
My website is called Messages That Move, and my YouTube channel is just Toby Silence at the moment, but it's that's got all my films on that I'm working on.
And my website is diptitate.com, and of course then you can watch the rest of the Dipti and Toby Show playlist here. And also our bubble of subscription. 2 bubbles this time, mine and yours.
Oh wow.
There we go. And we'll see you next time.
Great. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Good. Can I guess what the ultimate question is?
What, now?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want. But, I mean, you know what it is, so...
Is it, will you marry me?
Right, delete, cut, abort.